Our upcoming single, Lonely Habits, is about how lonely I felt while I was quitting drinking. I didn't want you to hear that song about my problematic relationship with alcohol without having more context. So I need to start off by saying that this is about my relationship with alcohol personally. I'm not making this video to condemn any individual's relationships with alcohol. It's up to you to decide whether that's an okay relationship for you to have or not. This is strictly about how I discovered that I couldn't keep going the way that I was going, even if it wasn't completely destroying my life. On that note, let's start by talking about why I decided to quit in the first place. I don't think anyone really needs a concrete reason to quit drinking. What I think is that you shouldn't be waiting for some kind of sign, or you shouldn't be waiting for your relationships with your coworkers, with your friends, or with your family to start eroding before you take that decision to quit drinking alcohol. And while I didn't have a rock bottom moment either, there were some things that were starting to kind of go awry in my life that I knew were probably a sign that I needed to end this relationship. First of all, me having a few beer always seemed to come before any of the big arguments my partner and I were going to have. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to argue or fight with a partner at all. That's perfectly normal. What I'm talking about are the fights we were having after I was drinking. They were characterized with this irrationality, and they never really came to any concrete conclusion. They were never really productive. Another thing was hangover anxiety, sometimes referred to as hangxiety. I struggle with a generalized anxiety disorder on the best of days as it was, and compounding that with alcohol withdrawal symptoms that do include anxiety really wasn't helping things. There were days where I could barely leave my apartment for fear of facing the consequences of these non-existent, embarrassing things that I couldn't even remember happened the night before. Which brings us to the main reason as to why I stopped, and that is blackouts. Now, I didn't black out all the time. It really only happened once or twice a year, but honestly, even a single blackout is one too many. And I thought it was insane because I had this irrational fear of flying, and I always had this sense of impending doom weighing down upon me, and those things were really affecting my actions. There were trips I didn't take because I didn't want to fly, and I would be more cautious than I had to be because I was just worried of bodily harm. And meanwhile, I was drinking so much alcohol that I was blacking out and deliberately putting myself in a situation where I could have been in mortal danger. So just based on that, it seemed insane to me. It seemed crazy. And it was that last step I kind of needed to say, all right, I think it's time that I figured out what I'm doing with this. So I do think it's important that you know the story behind my drinking, considering how heavily Lonely Habits talks about it. But I don't want to introduce this conversation without at least telling you how I stopped, just in case this has brought up some feelings in you that make you question your own relationship with alcohol. I want to see if I can at least equip you with some tools to help. So I have a self-proclaimed addictive personality. I've had limited success quitting just about anything before I decided to end my relationship with alcohol. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that helped me persevere and get through this thing, but I need you to know that these are things that only help me personally. This is going to be a struggle for you regardless, and you're going to have to find your own ways to cope, even if these ones don't work for you. And one of the reasons I think it's so hard is just frustrating is that society is going to reward you for drinking in unhealthy ways. It's going to encourage you to do that, which makes it all that more difficult and makes the solutions to your specific problem even more specific because your social situation is going to be a lot different than mine was. So the first thing I think you should try is mindfulness meditation. I know it's meditation and that kind of thing isn't for everyone, but this technique was everything for me and I still practice it to this day. It just gives you a way to take those feelings and those thoughts that you're having and kind of hold them at a distance objectively and figure out how you actually want to deal with them instead of just immediately acting impulsively on those feelings. Distraction, just raw distraction, is another incredibly useful tool when you're trying to end your relationship with alcohol. My favorite distraction was, as you might have guessed, playing music. I really threw myself into writing things like Nocturnal Panic or Lonely Habits, the single that this whole video is all about. I threw myself into writing those songs and getting really good at performing those songs, and just having something extra to do and extra to think about that didn't involve drinking, it was all the difference. I could just put everything else down, forget about the universe, and just start playing music. And making all of that music and learning to play it better naturally led me into another thing that I find is incredibly helpful when you're working on a personal goal like quitting alcohol this way. That thing is community. Now, I'm incredibly lucky. I had a partner who was super supportive of my decision to stop drinking, and I also had some close friends who were concerned for me, and they were really helpful and really encouraging when I was trying to stop. But I can acknowledge that that isn't the reality for everyone, and honestly, that really sucks. However, there are other options. There are local support groups, there are subreddits, there are discords, there are podcasts, there are communities everywhere online that you can join just to be a part of something that doesn't revolve around your relationship with alcohol. Just putting yourself in that positive feedback bubble is going to be a massive asset. Those people are going to reward you, thank you, and tell you about all these terrific things you could be doing that have nothing to do with alcohol. It's just really nice to be around people who have either gone through a similar thing to you or just don't really care about that thing that might seem incredibly important in your mind while you're trying to quit. So to that end, one of the things we're doing with Lonely Habits is we're launching a Discord server alongside it. That Discord server is going to have a secret room completely split off from the public side of the Discord server where people can just chat about our music or music in general or video games or life or whatever. It's going to have a completely separate channel. You have to ask me to get access to it personally. And once you get in there, you'll be introduced to all the other people who came to me looking for just someone to talk to about this struggle they were having with quitting alcohol, this struggle they were having with mental illness in general, or they just needed a community. They were lonely. They wanted people to talk to. And that's kind of the most important part of this video for me. Not only does Lonely Habits open up kind of a scary discussion and idea about alcohol for people, but it may also put them in that position where they want to change their relationship with alcohol and they'll be immediately confronted with this horrible isolation like the one that I faced when I stopped drinking. And I just want to put it out there that this self-isolation was completely self-imposed. None of my friends told me they didn't like me anymore because I didn't drink anymore. Nothing stopped happening. I didn't stop getting invited to things. I just felt like I couldn't partake in those things. I felt like I was completely exiled from society. And if our single coming up in someone's feed causes them to stop drinking and they're confronted with those feelings, I want them to be able to come to our Discord and have someone to talk to, have a community to be a part of who really cares about that. And I know at least I have some personal experience in it. Hopefully I can help you through that painful process. So anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This is a really difficult discussion for me to have, for me to put out there, but I really would feel irresponsible opening this discussion up for anyone without giving you some kind of fallback or some kind of resource to help cope with it. So hopefully you join our Discord, you become part of that support group so that you can help yourself, but also help others who might be going through a similar thing, or you just want to talk to people. It'd just be really cool to be able to talk to everyone and keep in touch with you in real time. I really hope you're not struggling with anything too serious. I know this is an incredibly serious video, but I hope you're happy. I hope you're well, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.